This group's a lot bigger when you get up here. At first I thought the president was going to be here, so I thought we'd have teleprompters, but instead, just shooting from paper. Good afternoon. As he said, my name is Shane Noem. I'm a political science and photojournalism major at Western, and I'm the president of Western's College Republicans. And just to clarify, yes, I am in college, and yes, I am a Republican. Some days I think there's only about 10 of us. When I was asked to speak today, I kept thinking back to what my parents told me as I was growing up. And that was when you're out in town and had a fancy dinner or had a business trip or something, you're supposed to be seen and not heard.
Let me see your sign.
Well, one of those days. The problem we're facing right now is the government wants to see our tax dollars, and they have no interest in hearing what we have to say. This stops today. These demonstrations are our way of telling the out-of-touch, big-spending politicians we are not children. We are indeed their bosses. Yes. And they need to listen to us or pay the price come election day. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
We're obviously facing a national crisis, not unlike those that our founding fathers faced back in the 1700s. They were facing an oppressive British government led by a king that had no interest in listening to anything the colonists had to say. We're facing a similar deal today, and it's high time that we break free from the oppressive government we face in our own country. In 1773, our country was suffering from England's taxation without representation. Now, in 2009, over 200 years later, we are suffering from Obama's taxation without hesitation. We cannot spend our way out of trouble. If our economy depended on wasteful, unnecessary government spending, we would always have a great economy. Spending never slows down. We need policies that produce innovative and rewarding entrepreneurs and small businesses. Instead, we get policies for short-term government jobs like importing sand to beaches and getting tattoos removed and convincing people that smoking is bad. Our college Republican advisor and his wife are expecting their first child, and he likes to joke that his child would be born already owing the IRS money. As we know, the best jokes have a basis in truth, and his joke is no exception. We have an unfathomable amount of national debt that is increasingly exponential thanks to Obama's economic plans. My grandkids and even great-grandkids will be paying this off. This so-called stimulus package is nothing more than an irresponsible spending plan that will only take us further into debt. The only thing it is going to stimulate is the size and the scope of the oppressive government. It certainly is not the solution to fixing the economy. The way to fix the economy is to clear everyone except those in Washington. In Washington, they need to start cutting taxes, cutting spending, and shrink the size of government's role in private businesses.
Yes.
Yes. Our federal government is throwing money, our money, at every company running towards them with open arms. The banks, the auto industry, you name it, they probably asked for a handout. Even the porn industry has asked for money. Unfortunately, we've probably given them that handout. And what do we have to show for it? What has this policy fixed? Ask a nearly bankrupt government Motors if throwing all this money at a troubled auto industry has made them better off. I think they'll tell you no. Or ask Citibank, a bailout recipient which is still teetering on the verge of collapse. It is received as their money helped them become more stable. Has it helped free up the credit markets? I don't think so. The big question here is whatever happened to fiscal responsibility? These companies made poor decisions and bad investments, and as a result, they should face the consequences for their mistakes. However, for many in Washington, consequences is a scary word. They've worked for years to try to avoid them. So I guess they figure that they can do whatever they can to make sure their pet corporations and fat cat CEOs avoid them as well. Individuals are at fault here as well. If you rack up massive credit card debt, on useless things that you can't pay for your rent, should the government come bailing you out with money for your bad habits? No, I don't think so. If you're in a house and you can't afford it, should we reward you for not doing something as basic as reading your contract or for lying on a loan application? No, I don't think so. Unfortunately, that's exactly what we're doing. We're punishing those who did the right things, who paid their mortgages on time, and who didn't buy a house they couldn't afford by subsidizing home ownership for those who should be renting.
Right. Yeah.
There's an old saying that indicates that failure is the first step to success. There's a lot of wisdom in that statement, and the politicians in Washington should learn from it. Businesses that can't compete have to be allowed to fail. If they aren't, the free market can't function properly. Our leaders are creating policies that function as band-aids to mask problems rather than showing courage necessary to let these companies fail and thus becoming a better and more efficient business. We have to demand this courage from them and let them know that a failure to demonstrate this courage will result in us failing to send them back to Washington for another term. There's probably some people here today, most likely with the media, that are wondering, what's the big deal? Paying taxes is patriotic. It's your duty to pay them. Personally, I don't know what's patriotic about paying taxes in our tax system. It punishes success and often rewards failure. However, I don't mind paying a reasonable amount of taxes as long as they are being used properly. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Our money is wasted on needless and often ridiculous pork projects like studying a marsh mouse in San Francisco or trying to figure out how to make pigs stink less. Democrats, Republicans, and independents alike have paid their fair share of taxes. We just want to see some results. If not, give us our money back. Just to get my partisan jab in for the day, I can tell you why Democrats like raising taxes so much. It's because they don't pay them. A higher percentage of zero is still zero to them. Tom Daschle doesn't pay them, Catherine Sebelius doesn't pay them, and our own Treasury Secretary, Timothy Geithner, doesn't even pay them. What a great role model.
What about Charlie Rangel?
When ordinary Americans don't pay their taxes, they go to jail or pay a huge fine. Even celebrities like Wesley Snipes and Willie Nelson go to jail. However, when our elite politicians don't pay them, they get a promotion and a get-out-of-jail-free card. Maybe I shouldn't have mailed my taxes in. I might be working in the White House by now. What's sad is there really are those liberal wackos out there that believe taxes are patriotic and that the government needs to regulate everything. What they fail to recognize is that a bulk of this problem is a result from too much regulation. The banks didn't start giving loans to unqualified borrowers because the government told them not to do it. Their hands were forced by the government, which is the very definition of regulation. And these are the people that we need to vote out of office. They are no longer being useful and effective when they on purpose are damning and dangerously destroying our country. There's a reason that this economic crisis happened during our time. We have too many people out there who feel that they are entitled to something. There are too many folks who don't realize that the government doesn't do things for free. Everything comes at a price. There's no such thing as a free lunch, and we need to recognize that and demand more accountability and responsibility from everyone.
Here, here.
Let me close with a few brief points. Our tax code is ridiculously long and confusing. Our government is spending and thus wasting money at record speed, and the next generation is going to have to suffer for it. This is not happening because we're speaking up. It is happening because we are not speaking up. We are not making enough noise. We are not being heard in Washington. Do we want higher taxes? No! Do we want government in our lives and jobs? No! Do we want our freedoms taken away one by one? No! Do we want our kids and grandkids to be worse off than we are? No! Of course we don't. And that is why we are here today. We're going to make our voices heard, and we are going to force our government to listen to us. Thank you.